One of the greatest challenges we have in the body of Christ is the temptation to quit. But the challenge is this: when you walk with God, it will not always be comfortable. It will not always be convenient. It will not always be something that tickles your fancy or feels like paradise. I want you to understand that when you walk with God, sometimes it will frustrate you, it will upset you, you will have to go through difficult days. But understand this: in this kingdom, it's not like this world. In this kingdom, glory doesn't come first, the suffering comes first. And if you're able to understand the process of suffering then glory, then you won't lose your mind when the pain comes, because you know that the pain is the gateway to the promise. If I had time, I would love to preach it and tell you, you ought to dry your eyes, lift your chin back up, because the hell you're going through may be the requirement to get to the heaven that's ahead of you. I just came to tell you, if you don't do anything else, go through it. Somebody shout, go through it. Now, I want to share with you Rehab. Rehab is she's a prostitute. But the question I had, Pam, was how does a prostitute that is not of Hebrew lineage end up in the promised land? A prostitute is not a prostitute because they're a prostitute. A prostitute is a prostitute because other people treat them like one. You take a prostitute with no clients and she just becomes a single woman. She's a prostitute because she sells that which is more valuable for that which people aren't willing to give. She sells high value commodities for low dollar amounts. And I would even argue, if I could stretch it a little bit further, that she's not the only prostitute in the room today. Because sometimes we sell great gifts to companies that pay us meager fare. And they know that you won't be able to eat if you don't have the job, so they pay you less than what you're worth because they know you need it. And if you're not careful, you'll think of yourself the way they treat you instead of how God made you. And if you ever learn how to see yourself through the lens of the one that made you fearfully and wonderfully, instead of the people that treat you as less than what you're worth, you'll all of a sudden realize that you may be treated like a prostitute, but you're about to walk into a promise. I wish I had time to teach it today. Great promises are reserved for people that don't let their vocation determine their vision. When we get into the middle of trials and adversity, we often forget that this is not the first time we've encountered this type of thing. This is not the first time where our hope has been put in question. This is not the first time where our faith has been tested. He said the first thing you got to realize is this is not your first rodeo. This is not your first time around trouble. This is not your first time around trials. As a matter of fact, if you really know your history, you're already an overcomer. If I could preach it like I felt it, I would talk about how he tells him, when you started with Jesus, you had rough days, but you prayed your way through it. You were able to go through hard nights and not get ready to quit the choir and quit the church. You were able to go through a hard day and not walk away from the marriage. Anyone here know that this isn't the first time you've gone through a storm? This isn't the first time you've had a rough day. Is there anyone here that can look back over your life and say, as a matter of fact, I know I'm a survivor. All the stuff I've been through and I'm still here. Wait, let me just preach to one survivor in the house today that can testify. I've been through this before. I've cried before. I've almost lost it before. I've had sleepless nights before. And if you brought me out of that, He'll bring me out of this. Women of vision don't see things as accidental. They see things as providential. So things that other people would say are an accident, they say is the hand of providence. Watch this. From her vantage point, what is the chance that two men that are from the army that's about to take the city over show up at her house? And you have to understand that sometimes God will put people in your path that come there out of dysfunction, but they show up with divine intent. And she was wise enough to know that you may have thought you accidentally ended up here, but I know what I've been hoping God would do. And because of what I've been praying about, you came under bad pretenses, but God's about to use your negative energy to produce a positive result. Is there anyone here that's ever seen God take a person and bring them into your life? They had bad intentions, but God ended up using it to bless you. Is there anyone that knows what I'm talking about that can testify? It started out crazy, but it ended up giving him glory. I don't know about you, but I thank God for people that came with bad motives, but ended up being the greatest blessing that I've ever seen in my life. I don't care who else you have, but you're going to need God. If you're going to see a miracle come out of a place of mediocrity, you're going to need God. Vision requires God. Sometimes God will orchestrate steps you can't even explain, but you got to keep your eyes open. It's not an accident. It's not by chance. It's God moving on your behalf. That's how all things work together for good to them who love the Lord, who are the called according to his purpose. It may look accidental, but it actually is providential. And the reason you can endure then and you can endure now is because the worst thing the devil can do is damage your flesh. The worst thing he can do is damage your money and your house and your body and your job and your car. But the good news is he can't damage the eternal. He can't damage your faith and your worship and your joy and your praise and your peace. And if you can hold on to the eternal, God can give back the temple. Is there anybody here? That's why Jesus told Paul, I prayed for you that your faith doesn't fail. Is there anybody here that's glad that God's keeping the eternal where the enemy can't get to it? I still have joy. I still have peace. As a matter of fact, let me show you, devil, I still got my praise because you could touch my stuff, but you couldn't get my soul. Boy, I feel like preaching today. Do I connect with the people that can secure my past? Or do I connect with the people that can secure my future? And sometimes you gotta have to make a decision. Will I let my past go so I can have my future, or will I let my future go so I can live a rerun in my past? I have to understand that if I stay in my past, I'm plateauing where I am. But if I hold on to my future, then my future will walk me into a promise. The past can't give me more than it's already given me, but the future can give me more than I've ever expected. And so she makes up her mind, I'm gonna trade my past for my future. And there's a sister here that needs to understand sometimes you have to make a connection with your future hope instead of your past life. I can't preach it any better, but I sure can say it again. Sometimes you got to make a connection with your future hope instead of your past life. And so you got to ask yourself the question, who am I really connecting to? Am I connecting to where God is trying to take me? Or am I connecting with people that are going to take me where I've always been? Is there anybody in First Baptist today that'll shout, I'm ready for my future? That's why I cut people off. That's why I stop talking to them. That's why I tell them I can't deal with them. It's because I've got too much ahead of me to keep on going around and around with what's behind me. When you get vision, you let your yesterday go so you can walk into your tomorrow. Boy, I feel like preaching today. Faith is when a doctor says, I'm not going to be able to do anything else, and you say, it's cool, I'm going to keep on trusting God, I'm going to keep on walking as if God's going to heal me. Faith is when the lawyer says, we don't know how the court case is going to go, but you go ahead and start making provisions like you're going to be out anyway. Faith is the ability to say, I don't know where the money's coming from, but this bill will be paid. Go ahead and cook something because we're going to have lights next week. Faith is when you're able to say, I don't know how God's going to work it out, but I'm going to step and walk until he works it out. Is there anybody here that's got enough faith to act on the front end? Give me a sister that'll shout faith. Boy, I feel preaching all on me today. Who am I preaching to today that says, look, Lord, show me how to wait. Give me the grace to wait on you. Even in seasons where I'm ready to quit, show me how to wait on you. When the money gets low and the bills are coming close, show me how to wait on you. When it feels like my body is getting sicker, but you said you'll heal me, show me how to wait on you. When I don't know where the next feel is coming from, Lord, show me how to wait on you. He says the ones that wait on God, they live by faith. Tell your neighbor, keep looking. I know it seems like he hadn't shown up, but keep looking. I know it seems like heaven has forsaken you, but keep looking. Man, I wish I had time to preach this like I felt it. I would talk about Elijah and how Elijah said rain's coming, but he didn't see any cloud. He just sat and told Gehazi, look again. And Gehazi said, I don't see a cloud. He sat a little longer and said, look again. He said, I don't see it. He said, go a little bit longer. And after 7 times, he said, I see a little cloud about the size of a man's hand. He said, yeah, rain's about to come. Tell your neighbor, if you keep looking for it, something will show up. I don't know who I'm preaching to today. It may not look like much, but God will take a little and make it do much. Is there anybody here that'll shout, whatever I do, I can't quit in the middle. I can't quit when my heart is low. I can't quit when my friends have walked away from me. I can't quit when the doctor says give up. I've got to keep my faith until he shows up. When you look at me, you might not be able to tell how far God brought me. Tell them, but when you look at me, you're looking at someone that survived what other people didn't survive, that made it through what other people didn't make it through. They said I'd never make it. They said I'd never survive. They said I'd never graduate. They said I'd never have a home. They said I'd never have a good job. But when they look at me now, the fact that I'm still here is an indication that I serve a God that can pull me up and bring me out. And it is no secret what the Lord can do. If he's done it for others, my sisters, he can do the same for you. Is there anybody here that'll shout, I made it? Give me a sister that'll just shout, I'm a survivor. Tell them I'm a survivor. I'm living in places that I shouldn't live. I have things I shouldn't have. I made it through things that should have killed me. Somebody shout, I'm a survivor. I was built for this. I was saved for this. I was marked for this. And by the grace of God, I'm still. Won't he do it? You've been delivered where other people face destruction. You've been saved where other people saw damage. You've been spared where other people lost their mind. Is there anybody here that'll give God praise because he spared you? Because you have to remember which team you're on. Says you're not on the team that quits because it gets hard. You didn't sign up for a team of comfortable cowards. You didn't sign up so when it doesn't work your way, you take your toys and go back home. You signed up to be on a team that can go through the storm and not quit and not give up. Let me just end this way. Tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, do you know the team you're on? Tell them one more time, say, neighbor, do you realize that our team has a mask or an emblem? Tell them the emblem of our team is not a pillow. The emblem of our team is not a comfortable couch. The emblem of our team is a cross. That means that when you sign up, you know rough days are coming. You know some tears are going to come forward. You know you're going to have some places where it gets rough. But the other emblem of our team is a crown. And if you can make it through the cross, there's a crown waiting on you. Who am I preaching to today that said, Lord, I didn't know how I was going to make it. I just came to tell you, go through it. And if you have the courage to go through, you'll find out God has the faithfulness to come through for you. Somebody just shout, go through it. So when the season comes, learn how to tell yourself, go through it. World turns upside down. Go through it. We're going to have to let you go. Go through it. The bill is 5 times as much as you expected, and you only had half the money that you expected them to pay. Go through it. Friends forsaken, your co-workers acting crazy. Go through it. And if you keep going through it, eventually you'll hear the Lord say, come out.